Hi, Nancy Burt-Preece here, independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Here's all my contact information. Please join my Facebook business page and please like, subscribe, and watch to the end of my YouTube channel. So I'm casing this card from Brian King, and the designer series paper is Meandering Meadow. And what we're going to do is we're going to start with a card base 5.5 by 8.5 scored at 4 1/4. I need an inside white 4 by 5 1/4. I just cut a strip of the Meandering Meadow to go on the inside, which is 5 1/4 by 3/4. I figured you wanted to write on that. I'm using deckled rectangles. I pre-stamped that using the So Sincere set along with Blueberry Bushel ink. I'm going to talk about how we're going to cut the cardstock in just a moment. I'm also using some of the Thoughtful Expression dies. I put adhesive paper on the back, and I'm going to show you. It'll be exciting on camera because I usually always, do something goofy. I'll show you how we're going to do that. So I'm going to move this to the side and get out my paper trimmer to show you how we're going to cut this paper. And I made a template, but I thank Brian King for great directions. So let me make sure I've got the right, yes, this is 5 inches by 4 inches. So you have to start with a piece of paper that's 5 inches by 4 inches. Well, this paper is 6 by 6. So what I'm going to do is decide, I kind of want this section to be my focal point. I want some of that blue in there because I want that to really be set off in here. So I need this to be, what did I just say? I needed it 5 by 4. So I'm going to make this be 5. That's usually the easy part. Trimming this off, you can use that later because that's just, look at the back. Now, if people chose, the way you're cutting this, if people chose to use the other side, they could. Because that is, woo, should I? Maybe. But I'll cut it just so you can see how I cut it. I want this to be 4 inches, but right now it's 6. So I'm going to cut off an inch off the bottom. Oops, scoring blade. Scoring blade is light, cutting blade is dark. Once again, I keep these strips. This paper is glorious. Now, I might cut off a little of the sky. I'm going to cut off a 1/2 inch. And I'm fussy. You don't have to be quite this fussy. And actually, I think, let me check. If I go right to 4 inches, it still shows some of that pretty blue. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So now I have my 5 by 4 inch piece of designer series paper. So let me kind of show you how we're going to do first. First thing is we're going to take 3/4 from each end and we're going to set them over here in place. Then we're going to take 1 inch off each end and set them here, and it'll leave you with a 1.5 inch piece in the middle. You don't touch that one. Then on these ends, we're going to take off 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch, and it will give you this kind of look. The other thing I didn't tell you is this is a 1 inch by 5.5 inch piece of, I just lost the name of it. We're going to use some of that. And I said fresh freesia, golly gee. And let me get that ready because that is important to have that piece. Because that kind of anchors everything. And I didn't get that ready. So let me quickly. The one thing I didn't get ready is 5.5. And I could do it on this other paper trimmer, but I'm just doing it over to this side by 1. And as Brian King said, it just kind of grounds it. It also gives you a piece to adhere your paper to. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and I'm going to line it up on the 3/4 inch. And I'm going to cut. Move that to the side. I'm putting this one to the left. I'm going to line this up at 3/4. And put this to the right. I'll move my paper trimmer down so you can see it a little bit better. Okay, now I'm going to go back through and take 1 inch. Make sure that's lined from the left. You notice I turn it upside down because it's just, I could go on the other side, but I'm just turning it upside down. 1 inch from the right. And this leaves me with my centerpiece. My centerpiece is completely done. Now I'm going to take each of these end pieces and cut off 1/2 inch. Is it kind of fussy? Yep, it is a little bit fussy. Make sure I cut in 1/2 inch so I don't get it the wrong size. It is. And is there a better way to do it? I'm not sure, because you want these to be able to line up and you want them to have some interest there. So I think you have to be a little bit fussy on this one to get started. This is where my person that helps me cut out things for my classes, my Angel Sue, is so helpful. So if you're listening or watching, Sue, you are an angel. So now I'm cutting this one at 1/4 inch. And you notice I'm using the right hand side measuring. Just seems easier for this. I could have used it on the 3/4 too. I didn't, but I could. Here we go there. And okay. Now we have our parts and pieces. Just to make matters easy, I'm going to stick with this side, but if you get this all in your kit, you could try to go around and do the other side. I'm going to stick with this because I really like this side. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to adhere, and I can use any adhesive I want on this 1 inch by 5 1/4, and I kind of put it towards the top third. Doesn't have to be exact. If I've cut it over, if that ever happens and you go, gosh, that's a little bit too long, just bring it over and trim it off. Not a problem. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay them out. And how I did it before is I had a little bit on either end. And when I adhere them, I'm going to do the 2 ends first. Then I'll come in and kind of lay this. And you want things to mesh up. That's the whole purpose of this, is that they mesh completely up. So you can see the ends, I might bring them just a little bit more. Isn't that cool or what? I wished I came up with this. I didn't. I give kudos to Brian King. Next thing I would say, and I'm not sure if he's the first one that came up with it, but it's a clever idea, whoever did. I would use liquid glue. Why? Because you can move it around and have a little wiggle room. If you don't, sometimes you make boo-boos. Not like I've ever done that before, but of course I have. So thank you for you. I didn't make videos for a while. I was doing VBS at my church and lots of family things came up. So I'm glad to be back with you. I'm going to kind of line that Now I'm going to move these for a second. Those look, if you really want to, you could get out a ruler. You can use your grid paper. They're pretty close. So the next thing I'll do is adhere this one. And I'm trying to get that pattern to match up. Once again, I'm going to go on the other side. Some people, you know, really stress about it being exactly perfect in the middle. It probably won't be. If that's you, just know that it probably won't be, and that's okay. Okay. The last one I'm going to put on is the middle. This paper, this and Thoughtful Journey are just gorgeous. And Meandering Meadow, I checked, it is in stock now because it's so beautiful. It keeps selling out, and I can understand why. And that lines up. Every time I do it, it gets easier. It really does. The next thing I'm going to do is I put adhesive paper on my cardstock, and I ran it through several times, because this is a pretty intricate die. And you notice I'm just kind of pulling it. I'm not doing a ton, but I might like rip some of the background paper. I'm okay with that. To try to bring it out a little bit. Gentle, it is paper. The reason I do this is because it's such a detailed die, it's hard to adhere. So often, not always, but when you pull the adhesive off, it often brings all the little parts. See how I'm gently pulling that off? And it's pulling all the inside pieces, most of them. Now, is there sometimes one or two? Yeah, possibly. And you can see there's one right here. I'll take my Take Your Pick tool. That is a tool I use a lot. If you watch my videos, I do use a Take Your Pick tool frequently. I would recommend having that in your toolkit. It's great to put on gems. It's great to take off these little doodads. I try not to handle it too much because you still want some adhesive to lay down. This is a Thoughtful Journey die, which is just gorgeous. I'm putting it in the middle. I did it with fresh freesia. And it's easy. You're not like getting glue all over. Your hands might get a little bit sticky, but not bad. And then the only thing I'm going to do to finish this card is to pop up the saying. I'm trying to give some varied cards. Like I tried to do a mail card that could be male or kid or really anybody. I'm trying to do some hope you're feeling better soon cards because we need all different kinds of cards. So I hope you give this a try. Once again, here's the template. 5 by 4. It's not hard. Once you start cutting, it goes pretty easy. I hope you have a great day. Thanks.